Hey everybody, it's return on investment. I'm going to share my screen here with you because I have a little slideshow. And the slideshow is on return on investment. This is a part of NW2. It is where NW2 was named by the group. And what that means is network equals net worth. So who you know and how you know them is going to decide how much wealth you have access to. And so that's a pretty common Mickeyism, is to just talk about, right, how, who, right, who do you know, how do you know them, and how do you make business together. Today we're going to talk about ROI. There's a lot of concepts, so I would definitely give yourself the opportunity to take a minute. There is a longer version of this. I'm going to be snapping through this. There is a longer version of this, so you can get the one that everybody got that they paid for the session. So basically, this is what we're talking about is return on investment. What are the strategies that you're going to do to invest in your business in a way that actually pay off? And what are the specific examples that you have? When I'm going through one of these, right, my name is Mickey Mikeworth, and I am a business strategist. And we host a mastermind every first Wednesday of the month for the last 25 years. So this has been a group that has grown. There are people from all over the country that can come. You can come. You don't have to just watch us on YouTube. You can actually come to the live session. And it is always fascinating. And there are people in every different element. And the reason I love NW2 for me is because I get to see all of you because you're cool. And that we get to talk about some really interesting topics in a way that you don't hear from anywhere else. Um, I am one of only 8 people who have won the Top Woman in Finance twice. I don't think like all of the other kids. So when I'm putting together business concepts and ideas for you, they're real. We really do them out in the world. It's not like I just made it up or copied someone else's YouTube item. That we actually are talking about live businesses that are $1 million plus that are actually functioning, and how do we make them grow? And we do it by being in the trenches. That's how I do it. I've spent 25 years in the trenches talking about business and talking about this exact subject, which is reflecting on investing in your business. And so I'm glad you're here, because anytime that you can invest in your own education, it's going to it's going to be a huge paramount of difference. So ROI, when I talk about it, it's exactly this image. So it's lots of little fairy lights, or it can be one big ball of light. So you have to decide first, what are the investments that you're making? Many times people are not making huge investments in any one area, so it's hard to track whether or not they're doing well. So start by thinking about the fact that it can be this string of little lights, or it can be one massive light. And when we're doing ROI, when we're looking to create ROI, it always starts with an investment. It always has an investment that has actions attached to it. So it's not just saying, hey, I'm going to buy this thing. It's, I'm going to buy this thing and this is how I'm going to sell it. And this is who I'm going to sell it to and this is why, right? And it's getting us to an outcome. So it's an investment that has an action that's going to lead right to an outcome. And then we're going to figure out the math on it. And the math is the return on the investment. And it sounds simple, but it's actually just a little bit of work to figure that out. So for those of you who have worked in the construction trades, this is a very um, familiar piece for you because you've always been able to figure out margin. So basically, here is ROI. I would take a picture of this so that you can come back to it. Basically, you're going to find out what the profit is, and then you're going to divide that in to what it is. So go ahead and figure that out. But an ROI over 1 is what you're looking for. The thing that I remind everyone about is that if you don't really like numbers, right? I'm not into it. Well, you're gonna have to reframe that for yourself, because if you stay the same, you're losing money. Staying the same costs you something. It's not free to just stay stagnant, because everyone erodes, right? So think about the fact that it's not just you. This is an example that I always tell people: when you're using that investment dollar, go a little badass. Don't be afraid to make that conversation a little bit brighter, a little bit sparklier, a little bit more risque. Because what you want to be looking at and in the investments that you're making is, what are the ways that you want your brand to be rewarded or showcased in the world? And this is one that I say, take a screenshot of this and really do a journal entry on it. How do I want to be rewarded for my brand? Well, for this one, we got rewarded with shoes. What a random thing to have, but what fun, right? So now their brand has this very different conversation going on around it. In Prosperity Concept, we talk a lot about tactics. For those of you who are in other groups with me, perhaps the 12-week year accountability group, you'll understand tactic, but I talk about tactic from a prosperity mindset. A prosperity mindset in tactics is also the adventure, the theory, the schedule, the exploration. It is the purpose of a tactic is it's a way of doing. It's how we lean into something. So when we're talking about the prosperity business model, we're really looking at what are the tactics that we're going to bring. So an investment isn't always just an investment of cash flow. Sometimes it's an investment into a game plan. Sometimes it's an investment into something else. So when you are looking at what do I want to put into my business, it doesn't make any sense to just massively just pick some numbers and throw them into a section. You really need some tactics to go with it. And really starting to identify what are the areas that need improvement. And these are real things on this sheet. And when you're looking at that, you really have to pinpoint what are these profit first areas and assessing the benefits. So you're looking for any area of your business that you can yield 10% on. If you can yield 10% more in a category, you should be doing that. So this was just something that you want to think about, right? What would be worth 10% more in any given year? Well, that might be worth 10% more customers. What would be the benefit of getting 10% more customers? So identify the areas in your business that need improvement, and then conducting an analysis about the parts that are eligible to grow. I might want more customers, but I might not be able to actually service them because we sell out in advance. So looking at how to fix those things. My books were full for 8 years, so we had to come up with ways to get people in. This is the golden ticket of this conversation, and this is the one that you really want to take a screenshot of just giving yourself some numbers on how you would find these in your budget sections. So using the budget section to help you understand what you're investing where. Another thing that we will calculate is the ROT, R-O-T. A ROT number is just the calculation on the time spent in on that investment. So sometimes that calculation is that we have to value the time, we have to do some other pieces, but that's also called a ROT. So how long is it going to take? Some of the ideas I have take 3 or 5 or 10 years to grow. How much do I have that much time for this item? So those of you who are coming out of corporate, you do understand the KPI, that it's the key performance. If I want this to happen, these are the things that I have to do. So for me, I have a project called Workaway. I was often writing those books at the same time I was working away. So it is, right, what are the key measures of success? The key measures of success are to keep traveling and to keep writing and to keep making notes and to edit those notes forward as often as I could. So that would be a key process indicator, so that we could get a book series. Right? That's pretty fun. Prosperity mindset. If you have watched my other videos, you will understand prosperity mindset is what I invented. I wrote the prosperity business model. It's 20 years old now and still works. So it's using the 3 E's of prosperity, is environment, efficiency, and economy, and really looking at all the things that you do. So that's kind of the mission statement of where we're looking at. The biggest question people ask me is like, what's the first dollar I should invest in my business to make it more? And it's 100% of the time, it is the same answer. Get smarter. That the first ROI is always in education. It automatically pays out 10% annually. So think about something in your business that if we gave you or one of your employees some education on, what one area would you like to grow? And how would you do that? So, and that's also why there's a lot of reasons for it, and you can look into the longer version of this to get all of those ideas. But education, number one, that's what we're hoping for is 10% annually. The other thing I remind people about is mojo is fire energy. Money is mojo. When you're like click, 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 click. When you have money, you've got mojo. So the largest asset that you have in your business, the largest money maker, are the human capital it takes to run your business and to close those sales and to get those checks. So money is mojo. Pay money where you need to. This is where we talk about that every financial strategy starts here, right? Is the overhead expansion or reduction. Are we living too small? Are we living too big? A lot of times that's where we all say, can we reduce your overhead? Because that's often how business advisors have been taught to train people on how to pay their bill. The fact is that just pay our bill. We know how to do math because you'll need that. So when you look at business advisors, that's one of the first things that they are saying is, let me show you how to make more money on other things. But I want you to think about it a little differently. And that is the reason you want to look at your overhead is you never want to shut down things that are sales generative, but what you want out of looking at your overhead first is that it's the fastest way to improve margin on every single thing you sell. So if you are have things that are a little low margin, you can, by covering the cost of your overhead, it makes them look a lot better. This is a concept that we talk about as the pink door concept in prosperity. It is what can be removed from your business. And I mean that thoughtfully and lovingly. I don't mean it like, this has got to go. It really is many times that we have been accustomed to having it a little easy. It's real cushy and easy. It's easy to stay the same way. And we want to just go, is it actually helping you thrive? If it's not helping you thrive, lovingly thank it and move it through that pink door because it's got to move on. Sometimes things that are okay are still not thriving. This is why oftentimes you see people shake up leadership teams, shake up other things because they need the money. They need the new energy and they need to give it a little shuffle. So think about it like shuffling a deck of cards. A deck that you've watched just shuffle in front of you, you're kind of excited to see what's inside. So think about that pink door. As a small business owner, one of the things I always remind all of you is don't be mad. Don't be a hater. You can't expect anyone else to value your dreams because most people don't value their own. If everyone valued how things worked, they would be the business owner. They would be the entrepreneur. They would be the person looking for those large checks. They're not. They aren't going to value their own dreams. They're not going to value yours. So you just have to get rid of that and stop thinking that those people around you, right, that need to go out that pink door are actually your friend that actually will root for you. I've seen a lot of people become very upset or uptight when their own personal issues come up because you make more money than they do, or they think you're doing better than they are, or whatever it is. So, let it sit. Let it sit. One of the other investments that we see across the board, and we'll go back to the slide that says, hey, here's how much should be in each category. Social media is a place for social. It's not a sales machine. This is what every social media company in the world is going to tell you. Whereas a marketing company is going to say, well, marketing is how you make money, and this is how we sometimes do it on social. So it doesn't matter what your belief system is. We've got a new term out on the street of how this is going to encompass because it's all going to thread in. But often social media and marketing, they both have the same budget. and they have different purposes, but they often share a budget of just 7% of the revenue. So really what we're looking at is tech is blending this term to just say, what is our virtual outreach, right? How are we reaching people through machines? And what is it that we're doing? So an example would be Square, right? Square is going to send them a receipt that's going to help us sign a contract. It's going to give them a schedule an appointment. So you're seeing a lot more in virtual outreach. So suddenly that budget that was just social media and marketing may also have other things in it like laptops and things to sign computers out, things to sign out there. I mean, the budget changes a lot. So tech is going to really look at this whole encompassing space. So think about it as virtual outreach. And when you're looking at virtual outreach, no matter what it is, you're really looking at hiring somebody to manage it. That you can't have a project without a project manager. So you want to either train those in-house or become that person or something, but they have to have a budget and they have to have time. And when you are looking at that, you want the highest quality content you can create. And it matters because people are getting better and content is getting better. So you're not just competing with some nobody. You're really competing with now resources that technology is driving. So you now get the best of the best for this much price. So think about it. This happens to be another person that's in one of our groups, Perpetual Motion. And of course, you'd hear the dog barking at that moment. So this was just one of the gifts that we gave away to our clients that we bought. We bought a template and we said, okay, let's give a template to everybody, give them 10 or 12 images, and here we go. And then now they have a digital asset that they can use many times. Digital assets are in every sales conversation when we're talking about selling a business. So understand that you having high quality content that can be used more than one time is a valuable asset. So there's more that we say about that in the larger conversation. So you can always go watch the longer version of this. But again, it is to look at those budget allotments, right? Where can I start putting things? So equipment and technology might be able to come into part of the marketing budget, or part of the marketing budget will also may perhaps filter down to those areas. There's lots of changes that are coming. And so when you're starting to game plan on how you're going to use your digital assets, you want to be able to reuse them as often as possible. So it may be using them in multiple ways that you're having in this virtual outreach. So virtual outreach is going to be where everyone's at, and it's where your budget's going to become a little more wobbly. Now we're going to talk a little bit about relationships and partnerships. There's two kinds. There's really the kind that is going to bring money, and then there's the kind that's going to bring charity. So think about these partnerships and what you want out of them. And that we have also a return on time conversation here of, so we know that what is the return on investment? How much time should I spend in these relationships? And it's really, at least the minimum is about 2 hours in a week. So think about who you're reaching out to, what's that reach out time, just add it to your calendar. If you wanted to make more than that, then the hours are going to double, but it's 42 hours annually per 50,000. So we just kind of did that math. Most people are making around 6 figures that watch this. So you want to have at least 2 hours in a week. So you can do the math on your own. You want to have a financial gain partnership. And that can be somebody who can give you massive referrals, people who have technology upgrades for you, a sales funnel can do this for you, a leads magnet can do that for you. But when you're looking at those investments, you're looking at financial gain partnerships, partnerships that I can clearly see how I would gain from having this. And again, there is a longer version of this. I'm going to snap through these really quickly, but there is the longer version for you. And I often put little sneaks down below, so you can always look down there. Social partnership, I would really look at why you're doing a social partnership. And that is, right, you have budgets in the beginning of the year. So if this is a donation, you know you have 2%. So you can easily just say, here's that because I want to give to a cause. And sometimes we're paying people out of profits or purchases, or sometimes it's a branding play and should just not even be a donation. It should just become out of the marketing. So when I think about that from profits, it's right, it's the money that's around. It's after we paid all of our bills, this is the extra at the end. But sometimes there's a donation that's based on purchases. So the example I gave is often a restaurant will say, hey, if you bring all of your ski team down here and they all eat, I'll give you half of the bill, right? So that's what I mean by purchase, that if you make this purchase, this amount will go to that donation. So it's still a sales conversation for you that you're not taking money out of the till, but it is a way to generate all of that the other way. So and the next area that I look at that so many people are investing in is the special events and promotions. Now, we went into this a lot in the longer version, but it's more tax advantage for you to do that as a promotion or inviting everyone to an event. It's more tax advantage than the other way to meet people one by one. So I would consider that. I would consider how to get people together, and we can get together again, and that feels really nice. You can always take a screenshot out of any of these pictures. It's a video. You can watch it over and over again. Uh, the next thing we went through in class is just strategies, right? And the strategy piece that I remind people about is nobody who's working in agriculture takes a handful of seeds and just throws them out in the dirt and wishes for well. No one, no agriculture person ever would just throw seeds out there. And most people are managing their strategy that way. It's really to say you have to define and plant in your lane and plant in a line. You have to plant in a line. That way you can move through your own process. Sometimes planting in line means here is exactly step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. This is why we set milestone targets. This is why we are always looking at it. In order for you to harvest, you have to walk through your own dreams as quickly as you can. So it's building and implementing systems around you that support all the parts of the business that need extra support. So if your accounting department needs extra support, great. Let's plant that line of services so that the accounting department can get what they need. If your sales team needs stuff, great. Let's plant that line and come up with that, right? We're going to stay in one line. So it's better to, right? And you've heard this from me before. You have to go slow, right? Slow is smooth. Smooth is fast, right? Slow is smooth. Smooth is fast. So you got to slow it down, smooth it out so you can work that line really easily, and then you'll be able to click along. Product development and innovation as an ROI investment is really looking at things that are already kind of ready to be nurtured. So it's perhaps doing some prototypes. Maybe it's testing. The product testing, we gave some of these examples in the longer version, but again, it's so important to look at innovation and product development. Yes, they are two totally different beasts, but they both require strategy. They both require testing. They both require us to really think differently about the existing things that we're giving. So I would look to that as an ROI. The fastest and most inexpensive investment that you can make is to really be alone with your own mindful questions. That there are already areas in your business that are actually ready for growth because you've made past investments in them and you just haven't had them pay off yet. So again, sometimes things need a second season. That's why in this image, I gave you the image of an onion. And that is because an onion takes 2 years. So does asparagus, right? So you're not gonna yield on that first year. But many of you out there have things that you started, you just haven't finished. So when we're looking at ROI, let's look at all of the things that are already started and see how many of those should be finished. How many of those can we get through? And then this one is really looking at the time that you spend. You're going to want to track the numbers of how much time you spend on ROI. And in that, I would have just, the assignment, we can go through this whole thing, but the easiest thing to do is just to give yourself an innovation hour every single week. 52 hours of innovation will absolutely change your life. And effective delegation. It is, when we look at return on investment, it doesn't fit into a really easy category, but it's really, it's the sleeper, right? It's the shadow of something, right? This is where the bigger answer is that when we look at collaboration and delegation, we really see that business model start percolating. So understanding the importance of delegation in business group, right, in business growth is really looking about efficiency. You want to be as efficient as possible. Efficiency in general is going to give you a higher ROI because you can do things faster. You'll save time. So when you're looking at what is the criteria for the tasks? What are the strategies that you want to work on, perhaps on the weaker areas or the very busy areas? So think about delegation and collaboration as part of your ROI. This strategy right here on ROI is probably the largest amount of money maker for you, and that is the who concept. Everybody goes to how. How are we going to do this? How are we going to do this? And the first question that you as a leader should be chiming in on every second is who? Who do I need on this team? Who can do this? Who can know this answer? Get your who questions together. This one right here will make you great. Just a reminder that you are prosperity mindset, that what we think, we then build. What we think, we then build. And that is the place that I want you to remember, right? When we anticipate, we animate. When we characterize, we then convert. You've heard it in lots of different ways. Again, wanted to give you a flash of this screen again. If you hadn't seen my great-grandparents, here they are. They are very great. And then I forgot to tell you all that I went in on an inn with my friend Marge. This is the name of that inn. Now through June 18th, you can come stay at our inn. It is in Minnesota. It is in between Rochester and Winona, and it is adorable. So you are welcome to come down. Please use that discount. If you have any problems with it, just tag us, but we'd love to see you there at the inn. If you have not been part of our 12-week year accountability group, the tasks and tactics, this is a great place to hang out. And there's tons of other videos on that station, so you can also get lots of information there as well. Again, thank you for being here to do that review. If you haven't come live to the class, you should. It's very inexpensive. I do it as my love out for community because I love small businesses having access to real resources by somebody who knows how to build multi-million-dollar companies when you're just trying to learn how to make $300 on a weekend, right? That's what you need, is somebody who knows how to just make $300 on a weekend, all the way up to how do I make $1 million+ business. So that's where I'm great. And that's why Mastermind is so good. But it's fun to know other people, and you might need a friend. So that's today's lesson. My hair gets more and more red as the sun comes up. Thank you for spending the time with me. Thank you for showing up for yourself. And thank you for being willing to do the investment that's needed to make your dreams come true. It's meaningful and it's beautiful. All right. Have a great day.